Hello, this is UATV. My name is Anna. We have Anna from Ukraine, YouTube channel author, with us tonight. Hey, Anna.
Hey, happy to be with you.
The pleasure is all mine and the privilege. Well, first of all things, Witkoff leak conversations with Kremlin. Let's do some historical parallel and, if you will, talk about the consequences of that for United States and for Ukraine and for the trust. First of all, how do you think this could even happen in the first place?
You know, that's a really interesting question. And what surprises me is the reaction, at least in the United States. Because I think 20, 50 years ago, this would be a great geopolitical scandal that could lead to a lot of people being fired, real investigation. And what we observe now, it's just like nothing. It's just a typical business deal. I guess it's good that now we have the proof that this 28 points of the so-called peace proposal, but in reality, capitulation proposal, were composed in the Kremlin, by the Kremlin. And who leaked? I personally don't think these are Russians, because this actually ruins one of the channels of their influence and manipulation. So maybe these were some US intelligence services. That would be great, because the support of Ukraine is strong despite these ambiguities in the Trump's administration. And maybe the British, maybe the Polish. I actually feel proud that so many people in the White House seem to believe that this was a Ukrainian intelligence operation. So maybe the myth about the strengths of the Ukrainian
Wow. Well, I mean, if we are that powerful, then why not to just end Russia's influence once and for all? I mean, why not?
Why not?
But Anna, seriously, do you believe, in terms of diplomacy behind Kyiv's back, why Ukraine and Europe will not allow such decisions? Do you believe in that? I mean, because now it is like people are talking and Russia is like offering a peace plan and then says no to any concessions. But in this peace plan, it is written like it's a complete wish list, what Russia did not achieve for 4 years of this bloody war in Ukraine.
Exactly. And what surprises me that in this list with which they wanted to trick everyone, they did not include any point that presupposes at least some concessions from the Russian side, at least something uncomfortable or unpleasant for the Kremlin. You know, if I had a dream to trick someone, I would try to balance it to make it look at least a little bit more realistic. But no, they simply packed this Kremlin's wish list and send it together with Witkoff. Why the European leaders and Ukraine, as one of the new Europe leading countries, won't accept this proposal? I believe everyone is worried, witnessing this totally unpredictable movement in the White House, because it undermines centuries of trust and cooperation between the European countries and the North America. And what I feel from my direct communication with a big community of the channel, the attitude is different, especially after Trump is in the office, because more and more, at least people who live in Europe, realize that this is not about Ukraine, this is not about territories. Finally, they understand that it is a real danger for the sovereignty and independence of Europe, of NATO, and that Ukraine is not a burden, but actually an asset, a country that knows how to fight the 21st century war, right, and sometimes can guarantee better security than the NATO itself.
Well, absolutely, because it's time for NATO not to even discuss if they will time when they will let Ukraine joining the family. But actually, it is time for Ukraine to decide if Ukraine wants to be a part of a family that is only talking and negotiating and probably will not be able to react when time comes, because it's not the gun that shoots, it's the people. And the people are completely neutered, as my dear friend and expert, Colonel Grant says. He says that Europe is not ready, but we're going to talk about that later on. Anna, do you think that all these leaks and talks about peace plan and how weak American administration actually looks like, do you think that this could be a sign of a possible split in Trump's team even?
Yes, for sure. And I think there is no team, to tell you the truth, because even his vice president, J.D. Vance, just a couple of years before, he described Trump as Hitler, and now he is his supporter. But unfortunately, I think that many in the team joined it for the sake of access to some power and some influence, and they are not united by some values or even the vision of the U.S. future. And that, by the way, demonstrates this tremendous difference between the way Trump and Vance want to end the war and how even Trump supporters, all-time Republicans, see it. And I was very happy and relieved to see that 76% see Russia as an aggressor and want to see Russia defeated. They don't want Ukraine to be abandoned. And this actually perhaps one of the main arguments inside the United States that prevents Trump from totally abandoning any cooperation with NATO, with the European Union, and with Ukraine. It will be very difficult for him to push Ukraine to capitulate if the support of the people of the United States is so strong. And here again, I have to thank all of you who watch us, who contact your senators, your congressmen, who speak about Ukraine and who realize that Russia is the aggressor and justice must be served.
Well, it is a proper time to give thanks, right? It's a Thanksgiving Day. So
exactly.
You, the people of the United States of America, we, the people of free Ukraine, are thanking you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of the heart of 40 million of Ukrainians now scattered all over the world, but definitely wanting Ukraine to be sovereign and free, because it's all about the human values, not about the price tag or the oil tag. And we thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome, Anna, because you're doing a great job just as well. And I know you're a great heart and a great professional. But let's speculate, because I love speculation. I'm a journalist otherwise. So let's speculate. Whoever did that leak, whoever is standing behind it, so because someone is obviously standing behind it, what could be the motives of that leak and who can benefit from that? Let's try to find out. Is that a solely journalistic trick? A duck is sitting like, if I can do it, so I do it. For what? For money?
I don't think so. I do think that this was a kind of political or intelligence interference. Once again, I'm a subjective professional Ukrainian, so maybe that's not true, but that's how I feel. Let's speculate, as you've said. And I believe that Trump is very emotional. It's obvious that he wants to work with Russia. Somehow he believes that this can give anything to the United States, forgetting the fact that the GDP of Russia is smaller than the one of Texas or the one of California or even Italy. So definitely it's not a beneficiary cooperation, and the EU market is way, way, way bigger. If we forget about values and focus on these benefits. But it's obvious that Putin, Ushakov, Dmitriev, being professional Russian liars, many of them involve FSB training. They can trick people like Witkov, who was just a real estate agent and Trump's friend from golfing, who know very little about Russia, about the history, about even the regions they want Ukraine to retreat from. And this level of ignorance, this level of negligence helps Russians to manipulate and push the agenda they want. And I believe a lot of our EU allies understand that it's way better to be together with the United States, that these problems, they are temporary, everything will change, and it's important to preserve intelligence sharing, to preserve exchange of some data and weapons. So they are trying to save the situation before it's too late. And I think that Trump might have supported the plan even without reading it, and to somehow stop this from more ambushes for Zelensky, more negative conversations, more threats, more opportunities for the Kremlin. They decided to attract more attention to this totally unacceptable capitulation proposal, and also to expose the level of influence that right now the Kremlin has on the White House. So I tend to think it was not just an article for the sake of some money, but it was a necessary step when it seemed nothing else can make Trump listen.
Okay, let's put Trump aside a little bit. I hope he's not watching our interview. Put Trump aside and talk about Ukraine and Zelensky. The cost of this scandal, it's obviously is a scandal. It's a loud thing all over the world. For Ukraine, is it good or bad? Or we cannot discuss that in that simple terms?
Well, I think it's a complex thing, but we can simplify it. And the answer is both good and bad. Bad that it happened, and it's extremely bad timing. And for me, this kind of corruption and in the spheres mentioned, it's not just a corruption scandal, it's a betrayal. And it should be judged as a betrayal in times of the big war. But what is good, and what I keep telling people, is that we have such investigations, that we have such scandals, that it's on the news, that it's everywhere. It means that Ukrainian society is fighting the corruption, that anti-corruption bodies are working, that we want to change this situation inside our country. Unfortunately, corruption is everywhere. And in Ukraine, in Germany, in the United States, you can read about it in the newspapers. There are scandals, there are investigations, there are people fired, people imprisoned. And it's only in Russia that you never read about that, because corruption there is, like a national kind of sport with Putin and his gang at the top. So it's bad that it's happening. It's bad that there are such people using the money that otherwise could have saved lives or bring electricity to our homes. But it's good that we know about that. It was exposed. And I hope that once again, justice will be served and people will be changed in the government.
I couldn't agree more. I was actually wanted to know also, what about that scandal with the leaks? Do you think this is a proper timing for Ukraine now? Because it looks like it is.
Yes, I think, everything changed greatly during this year. And there are tons of scandals and tons of leaks, and so many people acting unprofessionally, sharing their information through the channels that are not suitable for that. And it only perhaps exposes to some extent the level of unprofessionalism. And here I'm not talking just about the US, also about Ukraine, some European countries it happens. But everything is very intense, everything is very dynamic. And still, it's good that we know the truth. I'm a kind of person that believes that the truth is always better than any sweet lies. And I think it is a really good argument now for those who did not want to believe that Russia has such a great influence, that Russia can push their proposals and then still do not accept them, because we clearly understand it was a move to prevent the White House from imposing more sanctions. And honestly, I love focusing actually on those triggers, painful sides in Russia that they also exposed pushing this proposal. Then we clearly see sanctions matter. Sanctions fuel their fear and desire
Right. Right.
to save it.
Because they're. So what are you saying? You're saying that they're trying to avoid it as at all costs because sanctions costs more, right?
Exactly. And this means that when we ask for the sanctions, when people support more sanctions on Russia, it works. And it doesn't cost that much to our allies. It's incomparable to what we have to bear in Ukraine, and it's incomparable to what we all can pay if Russia succeeds and if Russia is awarded with Ukrainian territories for committing war crimes. So our task is to continue these economic sanctions, drone sanctions, and simply observe how more and more supporters of war in Russia now start speaking about the need to end it because it exposed a lot of weaknesses inside Russia, economic, military, social. So now is not the time to appease Putin. Now is the time to defeat Russia, to demilitarize Russia, and then to start discussing lasting peace.
Okay, and you believe, Anna, that we're talking about the political consequences in the United States. Let's talk about the role of citizens, of them, the people, and the Senate in supporting Ukraine. Do you believe that will be enough to turn the table of the situation towards Ukraine? Or this is already happening? I'm just scared to be optimistic.
Well, I'm also scared to be optimistic, especially when you live in Ukraine, but I believe that's real, and it even becomes better and better. I don't see any real political or economic benefits for the people of the United States in cooperation with Russia that is poor, that is angry, that is all about disrespect and hatred of the rotten West. And one more thing that keeps me confident that this kind of friendship between Russia and the United States is impossible, or one of Trump's dreams perhaps to break this friendship, so-called friendship between China and Russia, that it's also impossible because the ideology of Russia, the ideology of China is not that, like, of course, they were communists, they are all about imperial values, suppression of different nations, authoritarianism, but all of these countries are anti-American. Russia is deeply anti-American. So no matter how hard some people may try, how many business deals they offer, Russia is anti-American. And the values of Russian people and the values of American people are uncomparable, and they can never be like, this real friends. And I believe that those ordinary citizens that watch the updates from Ukraine, that know what we stand for, feel way more connected to Ukrainians. And I won't be tired to thank, just not only on the Thanksgiving, for the desire, for the choice to be involved, to support, to receive these updates, to watch the news that are often difficult to watch. That's a choice, and that speaks a lot about these people. So thank you so much for standing with us. And you see, you can change a lot with your words, with your calls, with your emails. Fortunately and unfortunately, politicians in the democratic world have to listen to the nation, and that's what we witness.
I have a last question for today, and well, thank you again very much. I am observing exactly that. I am observing that the people of the United States not only heard by its government, but when a time comes, the nation can really turn the table to the side that it needs to be turned. It actually happens. The Senate unites, Republicans and Democrats. And what the founding fathers were against is the dictatorship. So the Republicans and Democrats were actually meant to fight each other to avoid the dictatorship. And if president thinks that he's above that, this is not going to happen. But what about the expectations from further cooperation, transatlantic unity and all that? Is that shattered forever? No way, US and NATO? Or?
You know, yesterday I watched a video that became quite viral on X of Garry Kasparov speaking about NATO and how Ukraine gives time. And I fully agree with him in this. And I want to believe that NATO can return back to its strengths. And I am sure now that for that, NATO needs Ukraine. A lot of good people, ordinary people who watch miracles that Ukraine does on the battlefield say that it's NATO that should join Ukraine. Real soldiers, trainers who come to Ukraine or who work with Ukrainian troops also speak about the need to learn from Ukraine, to learn from the experience of the 21st century war. More and more leaders of the EU countries understand that Russia, if awarded, if not defeated, will continue, will attack EU states, will attack NATO states that maybe were former Soviet republics. They will find an excuse, they will find a loop. And now I feel that the EU understands they need Ukraine, not just because it's humane, not because we share values, not because our people strongly supported the European integration, but because we know how to fight, because we manufacture drones, because we know all the necessary things in the 21st century defense. And without Ukraine, if Ukraine is sacrificed and given to Russia, they have no one, they have nothing. So that is a way more realistic and reliable way of cooperation. And this way, I believe in the future of NATO. But of course, such points in the peace proposal that undermine the sovereignty, not just of Ukraine, but the sovereignty of NATO. When NATO is not allowed to accept the members and should put it down in its statute, then it is unacceptable. And good that all of these leaks, all of these reactions, I hope fully destroyed the Russia's proposal.
Well, amen to that. I mean, these people are in Russia, in the Kremlin, they think that they can do whatever they want. If they don't like Mondays, then Mondays will go away and disappear. But that's obviously not the case. Again, tables are turned, and it's a pleasure to see that. And also, since it's just Thanksgiving, and your channel is doing a great job, as well as you are. And thank you so very much. I appreciate your time and expertise. Again, Anna, thank you. Hope to see you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Anna from Ukraine YouTube channel, watch it and watch us, UATV, giving you the Ukrainian perspective of things worldwide. Thank you so very much. My name is Henry Keen. Again, we are UATV. Stay tuned and goodbye. Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.